Hello and welcome to my free masterclass. So today I'm going to be teaching you all about core strength and how to engage and recruit the core muscles. I see time and time again with my clients as a physiotherapist that people tend to brace their abdominals and they brace the six pack when they're trying to engage the core, and that's not what we're trying to target when we're looking at the core muscles. So the deeper core muscles are there for posture. They're there to hold you upright against gravity, and they sit at the bottom of the rib cage all the way down towards the pelvis. So if you imagine like a can, like a cylinder, the bottom layer of that cylinder is your pelvic floor. The top is your diaphragm, so what we use for breathing, so the main breathing muscle. And then we have our transversus abdominis and our multifidus all the way around. So it's like a cylinder, and when one contracts, they all contract and they work together. And that's why sometimes people find it really difficult when they do core exercises. They tend to hold their breath because they're engaging that diaphragm and squeezing from that kind of upper abdominal area. They find that they can't breathe at the same time, but we should be able to breathe when we're doing these exercises. And also with the pelvic floor, what I find with women in particular, if they've been pregnant, if they've given birth, then very often the pelvic floor muscles are quite weak, so that contributes to core weakness as well. And the abdominal muscles have been overstretched. Perhaps you've had issues with that as well. Perhaps you've been cut, perhaps you've had a C-section. So all these different things actually contribute massively to core strength and a weakness in that area. And that is fundamental, not only for posture and to hold us upright, but actually this is our powerhouse. This is where our arms and our legs move from. So every movement starts with the core and starts with the centre. So it's so important that we've got a nice strong centre, that we're not all wobbly, because that just contributes to lots of different injuries. So first of all, let's teach you how to find and how to recruit your core. If you've got a mat or something, a towel or something comfortable you can lie down on, I want you to lie down and just have your legs bent. So keep your knees bent, keep your feet down onto the floor. And all I want you to do first of all is pop your hands on top of your pelvic bones at the front here. So you find those bony prominences at the front of your pelvis. And I want you to move your fingers in about an inch and down about an inch. And you'll find like a little fleshy, a soft fleshy area there. So what I want you to do now is just keep two fingers on that part. And I want you to tense your pelvic floor muscles. So when you tense your pelvic floor, you may think about stopping the flow of urine. So if you need the toilet and you're sort of holding everything in, it might be those muscles. Or you may feel like you're drawing up and inwards, sort of from the pelvic region up and in, that deeper pulling up, zipping up towards your belly button. Or it could be possibly the muscles that you squeeze around, during sexual intercourse. You may squeeze those muscles, and they're the muscles I want you to engage. As you tense those muscles, you should feel that where your fingertips are, it'll slightly bulge in your fingertips. So if you're relaxed completely to start off with, so if everything's relaxed and it's nice and squishy, and then you tense up your pelvic floor and you pull up and in, then you should feel a slight tightening or a slight bulge coming where your hands are. So they're the deeper muscles that I want you to engage and to recruit. So the next thing I want you to imagine is that zipping up, sort of from the pelvic area all the way up towards your belly button. I want you to imagine that you have an elevator or a lift. You're getting in the elevator and you're going to floor 1, floor 2, floor 3 and floor 4. So as you do that, as you tense to floor 1, you should feel that these muscles here are just, there's a slight bulge, a slight tension. As you go to floor 2, so you're tensing a little bit harder now, you should feel them a little bit more under your fingertips. and then floor 3, so tense a little bit harder, and then floor 4. So it's almost like you're going to 25%, 50%, 75%, and then 100% contraction. And then what I want you to try and do is go down to floor 3, floor 2, and floor 1. So you're getting different levels of contraction of those muscles. So rather than it just being on and off, you're working your way through each floor. So floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, floor 4, and then back from 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's the sort of deeper layer, pulling up and in through the pelvic floor, and you will get that transversus abdominis coming in as well. The next thing I want you to try is just to get a pelvic tilt. So I want you to tilt your pelvis backwards as if you're tucking your tailbone underneath you and you're flattening your lower back. So your lumbar spine, your lower back is now compressed against the mat or the floor. You feel your glutes engage. You'll feel like your legs have tensed up as well. So you'll feel like your thighs are tensed up, but you're just tilting and compressing and trying to flatten your back. Now you should feel all the lower abdominals working. You should even be feeling that pelvic floor muscle that we just talked about zipping up. And if you notice with the rib cage, try to keep your rib cage down rather than flared. If your rib cage is flared and you're elevating through your thoracic spine here, what will happen is you'll still have this gap. Okay, so you really want to have your thoracic spine and your lumbar spine all flat against the mat as you're tucking in there. And if it feels comfortable then to put your hands by your side, you could just pause and hold in this position for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then when you come out of the position, just unravel yourself back to the starting position. So rather than just letting go and it being a quick movement, so that's just you releasing the muscle, you're actually using the muscle to unravel yourself back to the starting position. So again, just pull up and in. So think about zipping up the pelvic floor. Think about lifting up that elevator. Then tilt your pelvis backwards. So you're tucking your tailbone underneath you, engaging the glutes, keeping the rib cage down, and then holding it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now slowly unravel yourself back. And then we're just going to do that one more time. So again, zip up that pelvic floor, all the muscles we talked about, that elevator, tuck your tailbone underneath you, squash your lower back into the mat or the floor and hold that position, keeping your rib cage down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now slowly release. So you should start to feel more in tune with the muscles around your kind of lower pelvic area and your trunk region. And they're the muscles that you want to be trying to recruit before you go and do any of your core exercises. So all I want you to do now, we're just going to take this into a slightly harder core exercise. We're going to go up into a bridge this time. I want you to be mindful of what you're recruiting. So if we do a little bit of a body scan, feet to hip distance apart, knees are staying hip distance apart, and then you're going to be in alignment with your pelvis and your shoulder. You're pushing down through your feet as if you're squashing a bunch of grapes into the floor. So imagine you've got grapes underneath each foot and you're pushing downwards. So your legs become engaged. Then you're tucking your tailbone underneath you. So you're pulling up that pelvic floor, like we said, about that zipping up the elevator. Tucking your tailbone underneath you so you can feel your glutes work. So now everything is engaged from the waist down. Then you're going to peel yourself up one vertebrae at a time into a top bridge position. And when you're here, you want to have your shoulders, pelvis and knee in one straight line. You don't want to have your rib cage elevated, so keep your rib cage down. So you've really got to squeeze through the abdominals here. So you want to feel your abdominals are working hard, your glutes and your hamstrings are working hard. Keep planted through the foot and keep squashing directly downwards through the foot to keep that engagement. And then hold it here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then as we come back down, try and lower your thoracic spine first. So your rib cage comes down first, then your lumbar spine. So it's one vertebrae at a time, keeping the tuck of the tailbone the whole way until you position it back onto the mat and then you release. So if you work through those exercises, it'll teach you how to recruit your core and really get that deeper layer involved in that movement, because we can do these exercises quite easily with cheating, using our back extensors, using our hamstrings, and we should be using our core and our glutes. So the 3 exercises are, obviously you've got the pelvic floor engagement, so you're zipping up your core and zipping up your pelvic floor, thinking about going up through those elevators, 1, 2, 3, 4, and all the way back down. And maybe you want to do 5 lots of those. And then going into your pelvic tilts. So that pelvic tilt, holding it for 5 seconds. And again, you can maybe do 5 lots of those. And then going up into a bridge. So with your bridge, make sure obviously you've got the steps that I showed you from your foot all the way up, so that you've got the right muscles recruited for the exercise. And I'm hoping that you'll find these really useful, and let me know how you're getting on, and maybe it's something new that you haven't experienced before. So share your takeaways, and if you found it useful, share it with a friend. So I will see you soon, and look out for more sort of tips on core strength on my Instagram page and on my YouTube channel.